job, because I think often we always feel like rejections are somehow a failure and these are obstacles. And sometimes we just feel like giving up because we just keep getting rejected. But you know what? I think rejections are part of our life in every aspect, like whether it's in a relationship, whether it's like in a workplace or, I think rejection are very important because they give you a sort of redirection. So they do redirect it to the right path and to where you're meant to be. And so this is what happened with me. Like I kept getting rejected. I was so demoralized. I was so demotivated. I wanted to like give up looking for a job. I was like, you know what? Like I cannot find anything. But then I just feel like it was actually like everything happened for a reason. And I think this happened for the purpose that I got redirected to a place that I always wanted to be since I was in university. And it did happen. So it did happen. And I think it's just that.
You're listening to the First Class Life Show hosted by Lindsey Vertner, a holistic personal development show for high-achieving leaders who desire to maximize their impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So grab a drink, grab your notebook, and let's get started. Hey, First Class family. Welcome back to another episode of the First Class Life Show. I am your illustrious host, Lindsey Vertner, and we are here with another beautiful guest by the name of Urmi Hossain. And listen, I know that you are excited to get into the conversation with her, but before we do that, let me go over a few housekeeping rules, okay? Please make sure you subscribe, like, love, share, comment, do all the things because sharing is caring. We have to spread awareness about the First Class Life Show because if there's good gems for you, then definitely there's good gems for the people in your life, but they don't know about us. I know, it's so sad. That's why we do all the things to share out the show. Meanwhile, I know that you could be doing anything in the world right now, but you are here with us for this hour, and we greatly, greatly appreciate that. So we are going to hop right into the discussion because I know you need to get back out there and continue maximizing your impact while creating your first-class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So let's hop into the discussion. Hello, Urmi. How are you? Very, very good. So I know we've had a moment to kind of chat backstage, but I want you to introduce yourself to the First Class family. Like, give us the good tea, the juicy gossip. Like, tell us, who is Urmi for real, for real?
It will be my pleasure. So my name is Urmi. And I usually like to introduce myself with my cultural background. So I always tell people I am Italian by birth, Bengali by blood, and Canadian by law. So I was born and raised in Italy. I did my school in Italy. My parents are from Bangladesh. And a couple of years ago, I moved to Canada, which is why I say I'm Canadian by law, because now I have this, I'm entitled to be Canadian. I work in the financial services industry. I have a background in finance, and I do a lot of things that consist of, like in my free time, I do a lot of things that consist of developing myself. I am part of the Toastmaster Club as a president and also as a member. So I am working on my public speaking skills. I am also a self-published author. I published my first book about 6-7 months ago, where I talk a little bit about my life in Italy. I am a polyglot as well, so I do speak several languages, and I have the pleasure to teach Italian and English to students on my free time. I also have a blog and a YouTube channel where basically on my YouTube channel, I basically use it as a way to spread my message and to educate people and to work again on my public speaking skill. And of course, with my blog, I share a little bit about my life and things that people can do to empower themselves. I'm a big advocate of women's empowerment, and I do a lot of this I support this cause through a lot of volunteering activities, which is something that it's really, really important for me, especially as a leader who wants to make an impact. So I would say that's a little bit about me in a summary.
So you said you are Italian by birth, Bengali by
blood.
By blood, and then Canadian by law. Got it. So did your parents move to Italy prior to you being born? Obviously, if you were born in Italy. Duh.
Yes, they did. They basically got married in Bangladesh, and then they wanted to have a better life, a better future. So they decided to move to Italy, and this is where they started their family. I was born there, and things went on.
So are there a lot of people from Bangladesh in Italy?
So basically, okay, back in the days, yes, there were quite a lot of them. There was a lot of immigration, like there was a lot of people coming from Bangladesh back in the 80s and in the 90s that moved to Italy. And then we basically all spread throughout Italy. So I would say the first group of people would usually enter through Sicily, and then they would go to Rome, they would go to Milan, they would go to other parts of Italy. But I would say that in the last few years, we have less and less Bengali people because now a lot of people move to UK. And this is where we have a lot of people from Bangladesh, like a lot of them. And also my parents have moved there a couple of years ago because they wanted to be closer to the community. Because honestly, like if you go to UK, it almost feels like you are back in Bangladesh because it's so huge, the community over there. So.
Mm-hmm. So did you ever experience any clash of cultures growing up?
Yes. Unfortunately, I did. And it was difficult because so basically like I was brought up in a very Western society, very Western culture. And whereas at home, like it's a South Asian family. So there was very like conservative, very collectivistic type of mindset. And so there was always a lot of clash because I never felt like I was 100% Bengali, but at the same time, I never felt I was 100% Italian. So all my friends were Italian. I went to an Italian school, so I always felt like I was able to be myself when I was among my Italian friends. But then at the same time, I was also very aware that I was not Italian because, by blood, I'm not Italian. I don't look Italian. And, but when I would go home, I also felt like there was a clash there because I felt like even though I was Bengali by blood, and I looked Bengali, I never felt like the way I was thinking was the Bengali way. I used to think more like the Western people, very open-minded. So there was a little bit of clash there. I would say a lot of clash, and I would say that I struggle a lot with this, trying to fit in. And I would say that after I moved to Canada, it kind of changed my perspective because I started to see that there were people like me. There were people that had multiple ethnicity, multiple cultural background. And I feel like in Canada, I was able to integrate myself and find somehow my cultural identity.
And I bet that must have been very hard, especially in the formative years, because you said at school with your friends, like you could be your Italian side and embrace that part of you. But, the Bengali side kind of got dismissed. But then at home, it's like, then the Bengali side is embraced, but the Italian side kind of got dismissed. So what types of things or impacts did that have on your sense of self or your sense of identity?
Honestly, I felt like if you asked me this question a couple of years ago, I would have told you that like I felt like I did not have an identity. Like when people would ask me this question, I would always tell them a huge story about, how I was born in Italy, how my parents moved to Italy. Like I'll always like make it super long and people would be always confused about it. And sometimes I would have people telling me what I am. And I was like, yeah, okay, first of all, like I'm not what you're saying, like some people would say, oh, you're Italian. But then I felt like you're saying half of the story. There is also my other part of like my other identity, which is the Bengali side, or other people would tell me, oh, you're Bengali. But then I was like, I don't know if that's right, So I struggle with how people were perceiving me. I was never sure how to answer this question. Like I struggled really a lot because I felt like I don't have an identity, and I think it's important to know who you are. Mm-hmm. And it was only like really a couple of years ago that I was like, you know what, I really have to understand myself and understand who I am. And I try to embrace both of them. And this is what I do. Like I actually do embrace both both sides, because I think that's who I am. That's what they represent me. Because if I say just one, I feel like you're never telling the full story about who I am as a person. So,
hey, I know it can be exhausting blazing the trail and creating a legacy. And you're at the point in your life where you desire peace and rest. You want to enjoy both the physical freedom and financial freedom to live life on your terms. You understand the importance of prioritizing your self-care. And you know that you're worthy of transformational experiences surrounded by other high-achieving, goal-oriented women just like you. That's why you deserve to be treated like VIP at the First Class Life Luxury Self-Care Retreat for Women. You deserve to show up and just be you, away from the titles and roles that keep you busy from day to day. You deserve the luxury to fully unplug. It's time for you to embrace your first class life. Visit firstclassliferetreats.com to secure your VIP spot today, because you deserve it. Yeah, that's definitely understandable. What advice would you give to somebody that may be listening that is struggling with their identity right now?
you know what? I would say that it's not something that happens overnight that you're finding your identity. I think it's a work in progress, but I think the work in progress is due to the fact that it's only through time that you're able to learn who you are. Like, it's not something that, I wake up and I know who I am. I think it's through the different little things that you do in your life that empower you, that I think you get the confidence of like finding who you are and learn who you are. And this is basically what happened with me. I would say that, like moving to Canada, that was one action. Also, like, meeting people from different cultures, doing little things such as public speaking, being part of a community of people like me. I feel like that's how I was able to discover who I am. And so I think that's the type of work that you have to do. You really have to like take it slow, but you have to like start by doing the things that you love and that you're passionate about, because those things will empower you. And I think that's how you will find the answer, especially when it comes to your identity. And I would say that about the identity, it is something that you define for yourself. It's not what people define for you. Like, for instance, I could have just said to people that I am Bengali, even though I was like born in Italy. But the reality is I don't feel that. I feel both of them. So I think it's something that you decide for yourself. It's a choice that you make. It's not something that people make for you, basically.
Did you have any fears that you had to overcome as you went on your journey of discovering your identity?
Fears? I don't know if I had any particular fears, meaning that not per se. I did not have an actual fear of like finding myself. I think I saw it more as a journey, more like I'm gonna let my curiosity find myself. You know what I mean? I think the fear was more from other things, more like, I'm gonna be like creating a YouTube channel. I'm gonna be there on a blog where I talk about this. This was my fear that, people might judge me, especially people from like Bengali community, where it might be like, okay, why is she talking about this? And I'm telling you, there were people that judge me. Or the fear that the closest people will judge you because, you're deciding to embrace two cultures, but you're not embracing your main one, like I had those kind of fear where people would just judge me. And unfortunately it did happen, but I still went with my own decision, because I feel like it's more important that you are honest to yourself about who you are, rather than just, making other people happy based on what they think you should be doing.
And I know a lot of people struggle with that fear of judgment, and they will hold themselves back from taking action on maybe a dream or a goal or a desire or something like that because they think, oh, what will people think? What will people say? Will they judge me? So specifically, how did you overcome that fear of judgment?
You know what? I still went over with everything because I was like, people would judge no matter what. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can do something good and people would judge. You can do something bad, people would judge. And I think we're all judgmental in a way or another. Even if we say we're not, we're all judging. We all have biases. We all have an opinion about something. But I was like, you know what? I'm still gonna go with it, and I'm gonna give them something to talk about if there is something to talk about. You know what I mean? Like if they want to talk about me, why not? So I still went with everything because I was like, you know what? I just have to do what I like because I cannot stop myself from pursuing what I like because of the judgment. Then I will be like, I will not be accomplished. I will not accomplish my goals. And so I still went with it. And I still have people judging, but I think at the end, people are always going to judge. Like always. People will always have an opinion.
Yep, that is so true. They're going to judge either way, so you might as well do what it is that you desire to do. So I want to ask you, in just reflecting over your whole life, like who has been the most impactful person towards you, and why? Like, how did that shape who you are?
So believe it or not, I did not have anyone, meaning that when I was younger, I wish I had a mentor. I wish I had someone to look up to, someone that was like, that shared my same experience, but I did not have that. I think the people that I relied the most were my friends. And by friends, I mean like my Italian friends. And I also had few Bengali friends as well. And especially like even the friends that I have met in Canada, because some of the friends that I met in Canada, they have a very like mixed background, and I feel like I could tell my story to them, and I feel like they really helped me. They were, I call them friendtor, like it's a combination of my mentor and friend. And they were the people that really like encouraged me and supported me. These were the people that I could like open up to and, you know, tell them how I felt, because I feel like whatever they were saying, it was coming from a place of non-judgment, and they were really able to see through my soul. And I do have a lot of good friends that have been really, really helping me to, you know, just be your best, do what you love. And they would always tell me, like, whatever, how you're feeling, it's completely normal. Like, don't feel like you're some sort of like abnormal person because you feel this way. And so I would say my friends, my small circle of friends have been my support system, basically.
Nice. Yes. See, friends are important. You know, it always hurts my heart whenever people are like, I can't trust anyone. It's like, there's someone you can trust. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, be vulnerable. It's definitely worth the risk of finding that good friend group, that good supportive community. And it's more so like, okay, who are you attracting that you feel like you can't trust everyone? Like, even if you've had traumas or negative experiences in the past, what are you doing in your behaviors or in your mindset beliefs that is blocking you from being able to trust anyone at all? Like, everybody can have that group of friends, even if you have to do a little extra work to create the friendships that you desire. It's definitely worth it. I don't know what I would do without my friends. So how old were you when you moved to Canada?
Like 20-ish.
So you moved over in your 20s, and I know sometimes people can say as you get into adulthood, it can be harder to make friends. So for you, how was it like once you got over there? Did you struggle in making friends, or what did that journey look like for you?
So a funny story is my parents, for some reason, they always had this habit of like moving from places to places. Okay. So even when I was a kid, we moved, I think, like 5 or 6 different places. And I'm talking about like cities. So every time for me, I always had to like leave my friends behind and make new friends. So that was the biggest struggle that I had even when I was a child, meaning that with some people, like people from like elementary school, unfortunately I have no contact with them. Because we did not have social media, there was no way for me to like be in contact with them. So with some people, like I have no contact, and then people that I had in my high school, I still talk to them nowadays. So for me, it was always like starting back. Every time we were moving, it was like I had to make new friends. But I would say that when I moved to Canada, because this has been like my home now because I've been living here for so many years, I would say that for me, making friends in Canada was like a beautiful journey. Honestly, it was so beautiful, and I cannot explain you how, because when I was in Italy, we don't have that many immigrants, meaning that there's really small community of people from different countries, but they usually stay among their community. You know what I mean? And I had a lot of Italian friends, so all my friends were only Italian. Okay, and then when I moved to Canada, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this melting pot? I was like, oh my god, it's so incredible. And so I started to have friends from every part of the world, and I just love that. I love that because I was like, oh my gosh, I had friends from like South America, I had friends from like China, I had friends from Vietnam, I had friends from like Korea, and I was like, I love this. I was like, I'm in love with this. And then like I would meet people that were like, half, I don't know, half something else. So they had people from like Brazil, Madagascar, Mauritius. I was like, I'm in love with this. I'm so in love with this because I liked how diverse my friendship or my friends were, so I feel like in a sense I was enriching myself because I was learning about their cultures, I was learning about their perspective, and it was helping me to like be more open-minded. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was like a beautiful experience. It was like a journey on its own, like meeting people from like different cultures. So it was really easy for me, to be honest. Like it was really easy. I think it was just because I'm like generally like friendly and sociable. So for me, it was a beautiful experience. Even nowadays at my workplace, it's the same thing. Every time I see people from a different country, I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Like I'm always like genuinely curious about them.
Yes, so I just love that because I have a lot of friends from different backgrounds, and it's just so great to be enriched with, just the various cultures. It really opens your eyes to how big the world is, but at the same time, how small the world is. So, everybody is not able to make friends so easily because I'm like you, like I've always had like a friendly demeanor and things like that. And I can make a best friend anywhere that I go, right? And my daughter's the same way, but my son is completely opposite. So to the person that's listening right now, that's like, yeah, you guys are friendly, so that's why it's easy for you to make friends. Like, what suggestions or advice or tips would you give them on how they can start to expand their network and expand their friendships?
I would say you have to be open to curiosity. Because this is one thing that I have learned as well, even like through different trainings that we got at work. They always say like be curious, like just like don't always go where you're comfortable, like we tend to go to places that are comfortable for us. Even when it comes to like making friends, we just tend to be among people that are similar to us. But I think it's important to like have people from different perspectives because each one of us adds a value. And I think when it comes to that, you always want to come from a place of non-judgment, and at the same time you also want to be open to curiosity. Like you just want to be a curious person and learn as much as you can from the other person. And I don't think this has to be anything with being friendly or sociable. It's just, like just asking questions, being open to like learn, being open to accept. I think those are very important features that you want to have when you're like meeting some people for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I agree. And then what does that mean exactly when we say open to curiosity? Does that mean you're asking a lot of questions? Does that mean like explain what that looks like for us?
For me, it is asking a lot of questions. I mean, usually for me, that's what it means, asking a lot of questions, but not like invasive questions, just like in a way that you're learning about the other person. Like if I meet someone, I don't know, from a country that I'm not familiar with, I want to learn as much as I can about them, what they do, their tradition, their cultures, what they eat. This is what I mean. It's just like learning from them, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to go like really personal. It means also asking questions, but it also means like you sharing a little bit about your side to them, and I think that's how you build a relationship. And I think by sharing stories, you also build a lot of connections, and maybe you can find similarity in the differences that both of you bring. So it's really about like sharing both sides and asking questions and learning as much as you can from the other person.
So we've talked a lot about like just friendships and open to curiosity, building those connections. And so, sometimes it's kind of like networking, because usually as a kid, it's friendships. But then as adults, like networking, but there's a lot of overlap between the two. So how would you compare like friendships to networking?
Well, definitely networking. You want to keep it professional. I mean, I don't think you want to go and tell them what you did last night or what you ate last night. I mean, networking. It's a little bit like they're very different. In a sense that networking is more about you selling yourself from the professional point of view. Like you're just telling what you can bring, what you can, what you can offer. But it's also about being your authentic self. You know what I mean? Because I think no one wants to have because a lot of people sometimes are just like trying to be someone so that they are able to sell themselves. But I think you want to be spontaneous and you want to be authentic, because I think this is what people are looking for, and you want people that are genuine. But I think like networking is more from a professional point of view, where you're like building that type of relationship, and friendship, it's more like someone, it's a bit more informal, where you can like open up about your issues, and I think you can also build like, I would say that friendship is a more like stronger connection, and I would say networking is more strictly professional. Yeah, let's not like mix both of them. Yeah.
Are you loving the First Class Live Show? Then join our private Patreon community. Not only will you help to support our ability to provide you with great content, but you can also get exclusive perks like bonus videos and resources, discounts, episode transcripts, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join today at patreon.com/firstclasslife. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/firstclasslife. So what tips would you give as far as how to be a good networker?
Okay. You know what? I'm going to tell you this thing. I was the worst networker. Like the worst, especially when I was in university. I knew it that I had to network. I knew it, but I was not doing it. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I would go to the networking events just to get free stuff and to eat free food. Literally, that's what I would do. I would bring a friend. I was like, let's do that. Who cares about like getting a job or not? So I never networked. When I was in university. Same thing when I was working. I did not do that. I knew that I had to do that. And I did not have a LinkedIn profile. I was like, you know what? It's not useful. Like, what would I do with this? And then literally 3 years ago, I was like, you know what? I want to be serious about this. And I was like, I'm going to create my first LinkedIn page. So I did create my profile on LinkedIn. And I'm glad that I did that, because it did bring me a lot of network connections. And I mainly started to network through people on like through LinkedIn. And basically like I would have people that would just connect with me and they would ask me questions. But the thing is, what really helped me was the fact that I was invited on different YouTube channels by different friends. And I would talk about like my experience in like getting a job. And this is how people would like reach out to me and be like, oh, I'm getting hired for this company. I know that you work there. Could you please share like some tips? And could you please tell me how you handle the interview process? And so this is how I started to build my network. And I never did like an in-person network type of thing. Like I still don't do it. And everything that I do is really strictly virtual. Like I have people like connected with me on LinkedIn because they see a bunch of videos of me on YouTube. They watch a bunch of interviews. They listen to different podcasts that I get invited. And also because I think I'm able to add some value through my own experience. I think this is why people are like connected with me. And also the fact that I have a YouTube channel. I had people connected with me because of the things that I post on my YouTube channel. Same thing with my blog. I have people connected with me because they see the things that I post on my blog that they find useful. And this is how I've been building my network. And I almost have like 700 connections, and I don't even know how I got to that point because this is coming from someone who never did anything in her life, like when it came to that.
So you mentioned a lot of people would come to you like for advice about the hiring process and things like that. So for any leader that's listening right now that may be in a transitional period where they're looking for a job or looking for a new position, like what are your top tips when it comes to applying for positions or switching jobs, or just your top career tips?
Top career tips? Well, basically, so this is coming from someone who I actually struggled a little bit during the pandemic to find a job. And then somehow I kept looking for like a year nonstop, and I somehow ended up with almost 4 offers. And I don't know what went right that I got to have 4 offers, but I think what I started to do is I started to be my own self during the interviews. Like, yes, I think it's important to prepare in the sense that you want to know about the company. You want to know like what skills you can bring. You want to know what skills they're looking for. But I think it's always important that you are yourself. I think this is the thing that I could give to people is be yourself when you're going to an interview. Don't play a role, because we don't want that, because when you get potentially hired, they're going to see who you are truly. And I think you always want to be spontaneous. You want to be your authentic self during the interview. And this is what I started to do. And so I would worry less about soft skills, and I would worry less about the technical skills, because anyone can get soft skills. Anyone can learn about technical skills, but I think no one can be you. And I think people are always looking for that. They're looking for someone who's authentic, genuine, someone who's unique in that sense. And I think that's advice that I would give to everyone. Just be yourself, but at the same time, be yourself within that type of environment. You don't want to go a t-shirt or, trainers, what I mean? Still be yourself, but in a professional way where people can see who you are as a person. And of course, I think everyone is always looking for someone who's charismatic, someone who's a leader, so always try to see, okay, what are my strengths? What are the things I can always highlight that I don't think the person next to me can bring? And I think that's really, really important. So I would say always be your authentic self and just be you when you're going to an interview. I think this is what people are looking for. And I would say that if I was a manager, that's probably what I would look for. I would just look for someone who's genuine, someone who's sincere, and just telling me their true self, basically.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I would love to ask you, what in your life was your biggest obstacle, or specifically your biggest failure that you had to overcome? And what did you learn from that experience?
So I had one in relation to finding a job, because I think often we always feel like rejections are somehow a failure, and these are obstacles. And sometimes we just feel like giving up because we just keep getting rejected. But you know what? I think rejections are part of our life in every aspect, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a workplace, or, I think rejections are very important because they give you a sort of redirection. So they do redirect you to the right path and to where you're meant to be. And so this is what happened with me. I kept getting rejected. I was so demoralized. I was so demotivated. I wanted to give up looking for a job. I was you know what? I cannot find anything. But then I just feel it was actually everything happened for a reason. And I think this happened for the purpose that I got redirected to a place that I always wanted to be since I was in university. And it did happen. So it did happen. And I think it's just that rejections are redirections. I do like to think of that.
I like that. Rejections are redirections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes we'll say it's not a no, it's a not yet or not now or something like that. So rejections
Exactly.
are redirections.
Mhm.
So, Urmi, would you like to play a game?
Let's do it.
hmm Let me pull up my phone here. So it's a very easy game. It is called First Class Favorite Things. And all you have to do is fill in the blank. I'm going to ask, what is your favorite ... and you fill in the blank with your ... Super easy, right? However, you only have 10 seconds to answer.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sounds good.
So no time to think about, oh no, what would they say? You got to go with the first thing that pops in your head. Otherwise, there's going to be a consequence for all of us. Okay, so we'll start with something easy. What is your favorite season of the year? Go.
Summer?
See? You had 5 seconds left to spare. Why did you pick summer?
Because everyone is happy during the summer. You see the joy in people's face, especially I'm saying this because I live in Canada, okay? I say this because I'm living in Canada. We suffer through the winter. We have a lot of snowy days and we don't get any sun at all. And so I do enjoy the summer here because I feel like it's a different vibe and people are very happy during the summer. So I like to see the happiness in people's face when we are in summer here.
And I know that like usually during the winter seasons, rates of depression and things like that go up. And unfortunately, rates of suicide go up during the holiday season, during the winter season. And, you know, they've linked that to like the decrease in sunlight and people being outside and the natural vitamin D and all of those things. So I definitely, I agree with you with summer. People are happier. It's hot.
Yeah, exactly.
I prefer the heat over the cold. What is your favorite food specifically? Go.
Pasta.
Kind of pasta.
Pasta al pesto.
Pasta pesto. Do you like to make it yourself or do you like to purchase it from a certain spot?
Yeah, so I don't make it myself. I mean, I do have a basil plant. The only thing is that I keep killing it for some reason. Even though I water it, it dies all the time. So I have to end up buying a new one. And so I usually go to this Italian store to buy my pesto because they import it from Italy and it's fresh. It's in the fridge. It's so good. So I usually buy that one. Yeah, it's so good.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it's so
Freshly
good.
imported, I bet it is delicious.
It's
Listen,
so good.
I don't have a green thumb either. I actually just threw away a little plant last night because I've had it for almost 2 months now and there's not been a single sprout. And I was like, this is why I don't do plants.
That's it.
What is your favorite song, title, and artist? Go.
A song? What artist?
Make sure you say the title and the artist.
Oh,
That's because you know people like 5 people can sing the same song, the different versions and things like that. So, what's your favorite song? But state the title and the artist that sings your version.
so oh my God, it's so hard. Okay, Britney Spears. But the thing is, I don't have one. I love Britney Spears. I don't have one song. I cannot choose one song because then I'm not a big fan of Britney Spears if I say one song. So I actually love all the songs from Britney Spears. And I listen to her when I do my workout. She's my biggest fan. I love her.
Okay. So if someone had never heard of Britney Spears, what's the first song that you would tell them to play?
Hit Me Baby One More Time. Because that's the first one that like, you know, this is how she became famous. It was such a hate that song.
That is a fun song to dance to for sure. I like dancing.
Yeah.
What is your favorite book, title, and author? Go.
Okay, this one it ends with us from Colleen Hoover. I think that's how we pronounce her name. And you know what? They just released that they're gonna do a movie about this book, and I'm just like, I cannot wait.
So I hear that name all over the place now, Colleen Hoover. Okay, so what is your favorite place to travel specifically? Go.
Such a difficult question. Such a difficult. Okay, I'm gonna say Mexico. There you go.
Well, okay, where in Mexico?
Well, I have been there only once. I went to Riviera Maya. I loved it. I loved everything about Mexico, but the thing is, it was my first time going to Central America, and I have something with that type of culture. Like I do love people speaking Spanish. I do love the Spanish language, and I really love the fact that people were so warm and welcoming. I was so in love with that. So this is what I liked a lot about Riviera Maya. And then I also had the chance to go outside of the resort, and we went to we actually visited Mayan villages that was so like beautiful. And I also visited the Chichen Itza. That was also very beautiful. So I really liked everything about there because it was new to me. And it was just so beautiful, and people were so warm and welcoming, loving. I was like, oh, I love this place. I really didn't want to come back. Yeah.
Yes. I think Riviera Maya was the very first place I visited when I went to Mexico as well. And I love all of Mexico. I like to try to go to different places whenever I visit, but that is definitely a favorite. So yes. Okay. What is your favorite activity to do to relax? Go.
Read.
Any specific type of book, like nonfiction, personal development?
I do both. So I do like to read a lot of fiction because I feel like you're always immersed in the story. I also like to read nonfiction. There you go. I also like to read nonfiction as well because I get to learn a lot. I get to learn a lot from nonfiction, like specific skills, specific things like how to follow your passions, things like that. So I read a little bit of both. But I would say that I'm always leaning towards fiction because I feel like there's a story that you're able to follow and you're always like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So this is what I like. I like mystery books a lot.
Got it. I like to watch mystery shows and like mystery movies, like whodunits.
How to Get Away with Murder.
Like, ooh, we thought it was John, but it was really Jane, and Jane framed like Jessica.
Yeah.
What was your favorite childhood game? Go.
I had none. I'm sorry, but I had none. I was the kid who's not playing. I mean, no, I'm happy with that. Like, no. Yeah.
That sounds like it could be a book title, The Kid Who Didn't Play.
No, I was so not into games, not at all.
So what did you do for fun as a child?
I studied. That was my fun thing. I actually enjoyed studying and learning. That's literally what I did. I would study a lot. I would read a lot of books as well. Yeah, and I have my sister with who I used to play and fight. So I would say that was the game. Yeah.
Fighting with siblings.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for playing First Class Favorites. And listen, First Class family, make sure that you subscribe to our private Patreon community where you will get access to our First Class Favorite Things list. That's our reading list, our song list, our favorite places to travel. And because we prioritize self-care as first class leaders, that means our favorite list of activities to do to help us relax. So make sure you subscribe because not only do you get access to the First Class Favorite Things list, but you also get bonus resources, bonus videos from our phenomenal guests. So without further ado, let's hop back into the conversation and y'all make sure y'all subscribe to our private Patreon, okay? Looking for amazing products to help boost your first class lifestyle? Then head over to firstclasslifeshop.com where you can treat yourself to personal development books and workbooks, lifestyle affirmation cards, adult coloring books, mugs, notebooks, hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, and more. all products were designed to help you master your mindset, walk in your purpose, and live your first-class life because you deserve it. So treat yourself today at firstclasslifeshop.com. Again, that's firstclasslifeshop.com. Okay. So if you are new to the First Class Life Show, let me tell you what First Class Life really means. It's actually an acronym that stands for all of the different characteristics and skills that you want to embody into your lifestyle to be able to create a first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. And listen, we're only human, so you're not going to have all of them all the time, but what's important is that you are striving to make it a part of your lifestyle. And if you want to know what that acronym stands for, then you can do one of two things. You can either go back to the very first episode where I explain in detail each key factor and what they mean, or you can head to firstclasslifeshop.com and buy the book, First Class Life, 10 Key Factors to Create a Life Full of Purpose, Fulfillment, and Happiness. Meanwhile, we are going to ask the beautiful Urmi, which key factor do you feel that you resonate with the most?
Funny thing, I feel like I resonated with a lot of them, but if I have to choose one, I would say self-discipline.
Ooh, why'd you pick self-discipline?
So I had a conversation with some people today about procrastination, and I told them I am someone who does not procrastinate, and I told them that I think I have a lot of self-discipline, which I think I somehow inherited from my parents because I think they really taught me a lot of self-discipline. They were super disciplined with me, so I think I got that from them. Mm-hmm. And I do have, like, when it comes to like procrastination and things like that, I am someone who likes to be really organized. Like I have a Google Calendar where I organize my time and I don't like to procrastinate. Like I'm someone who doesn't like to wait the last minute to do things. So I'm like very like specific on like how I distribute my time. And, you know, I'm someone who doesn't I don't tell myself, okay, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Like, why should I do it tomorrow if I have today to do it? You know? So mm-hmm. I am like, in that sense, I'm very self-disciplined. Like I follow my schedule. I'm like always on track with things. So I would say that that's probably like the one that I would pick right now. Mm-hmm. Just because like, it's like fresh in my mind. And I would say, yeah, I am very like self-disciplined, like in every aspect of my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And oftentimes people will say there's so many I want to pick, and that's a piece of it, right? Because the more that you have into your lifestyle, that's part of creating your first class life. So it's very natural to resonate with many of them. What tips would you give for someone looking to improve their self-discipline or decrease their procrastination?
So I would say, so first of all, I think you need to have sort of like an agenda or Google Calendar. Mm-hmm. Where you like put down like the things that you want to complete. Like if you have deadline, just put it I put it there in your calendar, and also to break down the task. Like if you have something big to do, you know how they say like eat an elephant like one bite at a time or in small bites, yeah. Something like that. Try to break down the task in like smaller tasks so it doesn't look like it's like so big. So or at least you're not trying to avoid it, because I think once you like make it smaller and you do a little bit of it, you're able to like feel a little bit more accomplished each time. And also to have a to-do list. Like I do believe in like having a to-do list because they make you really like organized and you feel very accomplished towards the end of the day when you're like, okay, I've done this, you know, like I feel like I was a productive day. And the last thing, I had another one in my mind right now, but I don't remember. There was a good one that I had in my mind. I don't know. Oh, self-affirmation. I love self-affirmation. Like I journal. I regularly journal, and I always like write down, okay, this is what I'm going to do by the end of the day. This is how I'm going to accomplish it. So I think self-affirmation, they help you to build that mindset of like, okay, I want to be a go-getter. So I do think that self-affirmation also help a lot with like being less of a procrastinator.
Awesome. Now tell us, how do you impact the world as a leader today?
I would say I do that through my volunteering activities. Mm-hmm. I am someone who likes to give back a lot to the community, and I would say that a lot of the things that I do believe in, like women's empowerment, gender equality. I feel like I am making an impact through that. So like I volunteer for many organizations that are that are supporting women's empowerment, fighting child marriages in Bangladesh. And I feel like this is how I'm impacting the world. Like, just being present as a volunteer, I think it's important because it shows that you're standing up for these causes. So I think that this is how I'm doing it, and this is how I want to continue doing it, just by giving back to the things that I believe in.
Nice. And you have like a podcast and a book, correct?
I don't have a podcast. I do get invited to many podcast shows, but I do have a book.
Got it. Tell us about your book.
So my book is called Discovering Your Identity, a Rebirth from Interracial Struggle. So it's basically about what we talked about at the beginning of the recording. Is I talk about a little bit about my life in Italy and how I was trying to fit in between like the Italian world and the Bengali world. So it's sort of like a reflection about what it felt like to grow up there while also being a Bengali girl. So the book is available on Amazon and anyone can purchase it. So yeah.
Awesome. Now we have to know, like, where can we find you on these internet streets? How can we connect with you, follow you, all the things?
Sure. So I'm available on LinkedIn. People can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's called my LinkedIn profile is called Urmi Hossain. That's my full name. I have an Instagram page. It's called Urma Mio. I have a YouTube channel called Urmi Hossain. I also have a blog called myways.ca. And lastly, of course, as I said, I have my book available on Amazon, Discovering Your Identity, a Rebirth from Interracial Struggle.
And don't worry, First Class family, we will have all those links available to you over in the show notes, the description, so you can just click what you need. And make sure you're spelling her name correctly, okay? Urmi, Urmi, Hossain, Hossain, okay? So listen. Thank you for being a fabulous guest. Do you have any last words on how we can create our first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness?
Are you talking to me? I would say one thing that I do want to say is lead by example. And I think this is how we will change the world, is when we are setting up as an example for others and be an inspiration. And I think, like this is how we influence indirectly, like we'll be like an influencer. So this is how we will influence other people to make change in their lives and to make a better world.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing. And thank you, First Class family. As I mentioned earlier, you could be doing anything in the world right now, but you have spent the last hour here with us, and we are greatly appreciate you for that. So make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, share, do all the things, and be sure you tag us, okay? We like to engage in conversation with you when you tag your insights and ahas on social media. Meanwhile, keep going out there, maximizing your impact while creating your first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. Until next time, bye. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. But please be sure to subscribe to the First Class Life Show. And don't forget to rate, leave a review, and join our private community so that we can continue to provide you with great personal development conversations to help you maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it.